CM 365, all about Carnatic music.
In one of the earlier episodes, I had shared something about Sri Kotiswara Iyer and his life and contribution. Today I'll be sharing something specifically about his 72 compositions in the 72 Mela Ragas as to what actually motivated him or inspired him to compose these compositions and what is the content of this whole body of work that he has done. Kotiswara Iyer, we know, was a person who belonged to a great music parampara, his grandfather being Kavikunjara Bharathi. So when he started composing compositions as a tribute to his grandfather, he used the Mudhra Kavikunjara Dasan. And also following the lines of Dikshadhar, we see that all the compositions, especially the 72 Mela compositions that he has done, we see that he has incorporated the Raga Mudra beautifully into the composition itself. He himself has mentioned about the reason for his conceptualizing or creating compositions in all the 72 Mela Ragas. He has said that while the Trinity have really contributed much towards the concept of Ragas, and especially the 72 Mela Gartas, we know that Dikshadhar has composed compositions in all of them. But basically these compositions are in Telugu or Sanskrit. And because of that fact, though we are able to enjoy these compositions for their musical beauty, seldom do we actually understand the Sahitya Bhava. So the first thing, of course, that the reason why he composed in Tamil is the fact that he wanted to compose the compositions in a language that is known to the people of Tamil Nadu, especially, or the Tamil speaking people. The second thing is, of course, that Dikshadhar already has composed in all the 72 Melas in Sanskrit, so he took up a different approach in terms of using Tamil as a medium to compose the compositions. And he also says that the compositions of the Trinity offer great scope for Raga Alapana or Neraval, Swaram, etc. So following the model of the Trinity, his compositions also we see that are such that they offer a lot of scope in terms of using our Manodharma aspects like Neraval, Swaram. Everything can be beautifully woven into the composition. That's how he has structured his compositions. Now coming to the 72 Mela Kartas, he always seemed to have a great passion and love for these 72 Melas. And so that's why he wanted to compose the compositions in Tamil in all these 72 Melas. He was actually working as a translator in the High Court. So music was not his profession or his livelihood in that sense. And only because of his passion for music and Tamil, he got to compose all the compositions. He has composed Varnas, he has composed Kritis, and we also see that apart from this 72 Mela Gartas that he has composed, this I also mentioned earlier that all these compositions are in praise of Lord Muruga, his favorite deity. He was living in Mylapore and he used to visit the Subramanya temple there every day and was greatly devoted to this Lord. So that god Subramanya or Muruga became the theme of all the 72 compositions. But apart from this, we also see that he has composed songs on other deities as well. And we see that here, interestingly, what he did was starting from Kanakangi, Ratnangi, Ganamurte like this, the first 36 Melas till Chalanata, he composed compositions first. After composing these 36 compositions, he invited several learned musicians and musicologists to listen to his compositions and to give their opinion about it. So for example, C.R. Srinivasa Iyengar, Professor Samamurthy, Sri Muttaya Bhagavathar, they were all actually invited by him to listen to his compositions. And after listening to his compositions, they were really very much appreciative of his venture, and they said that he should not stop with this 36 and he should continue further and complete it to make that 72. The second thing, his contribution we could say is that in the Sampurna scale, the Vivadi Melas, which I mentioned earlier also, are 40 in number. There was a taboo that singing all these Vivadi Melams is a dosham. So he broke this taboo, in fact, I would say, by composing compositions and making all of us sing these ragas through his composition. He named his whole work as Skanda Ganamudam. This was actually published in 2 parts by him, one in 1932 and one in 1938, where his own notation is being part of the publication. He has put it to notation and published it. So that way we have a authentic kind of a notation about the compositions that he has composed. We are able to get the authentic version of it as well. And Samamurthy, in his preface for this particular work, Kanda Ganamudam, he has praised, in the preface, he has praised the work of Sri Kotiswara and said that in order to form the picture of the ragam, a new ragam in the mind, that is to determine its jiva swaras, nyasa swaras, what are the raga, ranjaka, prayogas, etc. For that it really requires a lot of thinking, and Kotiswara Iyer, he says, that has done a commendable job of this. And he says that Kotiswara Iyer's name will go down to posterity as the first composer to compose kritis in all the 72 melas in Tamil. So he actually is the first, and so that way it's a monumental contribution. And in each of the 72 compositions, we see that he looks at the ragam like a deity and pleads to the god to grace him to finish this whole body of work that he has taken up actually. And he handles all the Vivadi ragams so much at ease that you really feel that even the Vivadi ragams are as flowy as a Shankarabharanam or a Kalyani or a Thodi. That's a kind of, easy flow that he has given to every ragam that he has conceptualized in the 72 melas. And he was also actually very fond of the domain of Talam, and that is quite evident from the fact that he has composed 41 compositions out of the 72 in Adi Talam. We see that there are 10 in Chapu Talam, that is Mishra Chapu, 5 in Kanda Chapu, and 16 in Rupaka Talam. And not only it's about the Talam that he has taken in for the variety, we see the internal structure of each of these compositions offer an interesting variety for us also. That is very important. It's not like that all of them are the same mold. Each one of them gives us a different kind of compositional structure, and that makes it very interesting in terms of listening to it as well. And another innovative thing that he has done in this Melagarthas is that in ragas like Senavati, Rupavati, Hatakambari, Manoranjani and Kantamani, we see that he has composed these compositions in the Madhyama Shruti, which means that he has limited the range of the composition. He has not taken the Tristhai, that is Mandra, Madhya and Tarasthai are usually taken for composing a composition, whereas here he almost operates only on the Madhyasthai from the Adara Shajja to the Nishada and the Madhyasthai, and does not go into the Tarasthai at all. So, but of course, within from Sarigama Padani, we can definitely bring out the Lakshana of the Ragam adequately. We don't require a Tarasthai to establish the Ragam, but nevertheless, this is a very innovative approach that he has taken up, even in this, within the 72, how he has conceptualized some of the Ragams in terms of composing their structure. Then we also see that, like any composer, he starts off with a prayer to Lord Vinayaga, where before the 72 Melagartha compositions, he has composed Varana Mukava Tunai Varuvai Arulvai Dayavai. It goes like Varana Mukava Tunai Varuvai Arulvai Dayavai Varana Mukava Tunai Varuvai. Where in the Charanam he says, இன்னிசையியல் இலக்கியம் ஆரியம் தமிழறிவேதும் இன்றே கண்ணல் அன்னை கந்தகானமுத நன்னூலை உன்னும் கவி குஞ்சர தாசன் நான் உன்னருள் கொண்டே பண்ண துணில்தேன் முனவனே நீ முல்லை Ativegamayarulvadavarana Mukava. So where he mentions Innisai, Iyal, Ilakkiyam, Ariyam, Tamil, Arivedumindri. That is, he pleads himself ignorant and says that I do not have any knowledge of music, language or whatever. But then, Kannal Anna I Kanda Gana Mudam. There itself he gives the name for the whole work as Kanda Gana Mudam. He establishes there. And he says that Unnum Kavi Kunjaradasan, again his own Mudhra comes in there. Unnarul Konde Panna Tuninden. Because of your grace, I have ventured boldly into starting this work. And he says that Munnavaneni Munnindral Mudiyadundrum Illai. That is, if you are there with me, giving me that support, there is nothing impossible for me to do, accomplish. So Adalal Ati Vegamai, he's asking God to come fast and to help him with this whole work. So this prayer is again to Lord Vinayaka to complete the 72 marathon task that he has taken. And like any other composer, after the 72 Melakarta compositions, we see that he has also ended this whole work with a Mangala in Shuruti. Thus we see that this 72 Mela Raga compositions composed by Kotiswara Iyer is indeed a treasure for us in terms of understanding the whole gamut of ragams through his beautiful compositions in terms of what is the Lakshana of the Raga, what are the Nyasa Swara, Amsa Swara, how the Ragam is to be unfolded. So many details we are able to actually capture through his compositions.
CM 365, all about Carnatic music.